grab some mead or whatever you need. I'm Kamal. It's time to get to it. All right, so we have looked through all of the different class changes. Now let's take a look at what's coming to the Mercenaries. It says here that hiring Mercenary in the expansion mode will now always offer Mercenaries that match your character's level instead of having a randomized level difference from your character's level. That's good. I wonder though if... So previously, I don't know if they changed this in Diablo 2 Resurrected or not. I think they did. But in Diablo 2, the standard game, if you leveled up the mercenary yourself, the stats would be slightly better than if you were to hire one at a higher level. At least I'm pretty sure I remember it being that way. I don't know if that changed, but we'll hopefully it's all kind of normalized, if that's the case. Although it's not saying that your mercenary will always be your level. So I guess you could always go back or not go back, but if you start a game, hire a mercenary at a very low level and then level it up yourself. Me personally, the amount of stat difference that you would acquire, but you know what? It doesn't matter. It wasn't worth it. Honestly, it wasn't worth the time invested. Act 1, the Rogue Archer. Updated each stat and skill gains in each difficulty to match so that there is no disadvantage of leveling up a hell difficulty mercenary versus a normal difficulty mercenary. That's okay. That's good. Cold Arrow. Added Freezing Arrow. For the Fire Arrow one, it added Exploding Arrow. Developer comments. That's not too much of a difference, but it may make a difference. The Rogue Archer is getting new flavored range skills that will scale as she levels up. These new skills should improve her AoE, area of effect, damage effectiveness, and thus make her more effective ranged damage dealer. That's true. I think that could be very accurate. Desert Mercenary. Updated each stat and skill gains in each difficulty to match so that there is no disadvantage of leveling up a hell difficulty mercenary versus a normal difficulty mercenary. So it looks like they have normalized it. Unless I'm reading that wrong. Nightmare and Hell difficulties now have all 6 different aura types available from the higher menu, instead of separating them out by 3 per difficulty. Normal is unchanged. Okay, that's fair. Thorns for the Combat Nightmare. This is what we have already gone over. It's instead of being a percentage based, it's going to be a flat damage base. Developer comment says the Desert Mercenary is already popular, but we saw an opportunity to add some quality of life improvements to allow allowing players to hire all 6 different aura types in Nightmare and Hell difficulty, rather than having to switch between modes. With general improvements to Thorns, we wanted to improve the level scaling to make this aura mercenary type more meaningful. Hopefully, this will also, with whatever they're doing, fix the bug. Because right now, if you have a Holy Freeze mercenary that you got from Nightmare and you go into Hell or normal difficulty, it doesn't display that it's a Holy Freeze mercenary. It shows that it's a different type of mercenary, even though it's not. It still has Holy Freeze, but in the UI, the user interface, the character doll page, it shows differently, even though, once again, it's not. Act 3, the Iron Wolf. Updated each stat and skill gain in each difficulty to match so that there is no disadvantage of leveling up a Hell mercenary versus a normal difficulty mercenary. Life baseline and scaling increased by about 25%, now life similar to the Rogue Archer. Defense baseline and scaling increased by about 40%, now has defense closer to the Rogue Archer, and resistance's baseline and scaling increased by about 20%, now has the highest resistant baseline compared to other mercenaries. Cold now cast Glacial Spike more often. Glacial Spike level scaling is increased, and Frozen Armor level scaling is increased. Fire removed Inferno, added Firebolt, increased the chance of the Iron Wolf casting Fireball. Okay, so it's got Firebolt and Fireball. Add an enchant. Now the Iron Wolf will cast enchant on himself, the player, and nearby allies. That's pretty awesome. To be completely honest, that is super cool. I'm curious what level of enchant they'll have. Lightning. Added static field. Okay. Charged bolt level scaling increased, and increased the chance that the Iron Wolf of casting lightning. Developer comments state the Iron Wolf are great elemental sorcerers, but we saw that they have been underperforming in higher difficulties. We improved their core stats so that they are more in line with the other mercenaries while also having a distinct advantage with having the most resistance values. For skills, we wanted to embrace their elemental fantasies, so we decided to give new flavorful utility skills to further incentivize reasons to want to use these mercenary types. Okay, I'm on board with that. I'm 100% on board with that. And some of the changes coming to Runewords that we're going to be seeing later is going to be a big change to some of these as well. The Act 5 Barbarian Mercenary or Barbarian Warrior Mercenary updated each stat so that each stat skill gains in each difficulty to match, so there's no disadvantage of leveling up. A Hell Mercenary versus a normal difficulty Mercenary. Life baseline scaling increased, now has the most life compared to other mercenaries. Defense baseline and scaling increased, and the scaling at higher levels was reduced, now has the highest defense baseline compared to other mercenaries. Bash level scaling will increase. Level scaling increased and will no longer be capped at level 80. Stun level scaling increased and will no longer be capped at level 80. And added Battle Cry. So you actually get a buff. That's fantastic. We want to give the Barbarian more identity while still maintaining his Barbarian fantasy. So we decided to give him the Battle Cry. The Battle Cry skill as a new way for him to debuff enemies, which should prove to be a useful utility for players. In addition, we wanted to increase his life and defense scaling to ensure that he is the tougher mercenary type. That all sounds very effective and very true. So that's going to be the changes coming to the mercenary. Next, as you see, we have Runewords. You can see that's going to be a huge one that I'm going to discuss here in a moment. So you know the deal. Sub it up, stick around. We got more coming. I'm out.